What's up, Bulls Nation? It's the Bloody Horns podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Let's get into this content, man, this daily content. And today's daily content, it is pretty somber, guys. Rest in peace to the legend, Chet Walker. And we really got to remind some of the youngsters out there that the Chicago Bulls, they existed before Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he saved the franchise in a lot of ways. You know, you heard on The Last Dance that when he came in, he had dudes doing cocaine pregame. He had dudes drinking beers, smoking cigarettes at halftime. Like, this was a joke of an organization. The early 1980s were a dark time for this franchise, but the 70s and the late 60s, we did have some success. No championships, you know. If you're a championship or bust type of dude, I get it. There's no success there if that's how you measure it, but we still had some success in my eyes. We still had good players, Hall of Famers, guys who deserve recognition. You know, Chet Walker, absolute bucket, four-time All-Star with the Chicago Bulls, multiple seasons, averaging 20 plus a game. Jerry Sloan, one of the toughest, grittiest dudes the NBA has ever seen. Norm Van Leer, one of the most underrated guards in NBA history. Artis Gilmore might be the most underrated big man in NBA history. Like, the 70s was a decent time for the franchise. They made a couple of Western Conference finals. Back in that day, they were in the Western Conference, not the Eastern Conference. You know, the Bulls existed and had some success. And those dudes who were here pre-MJ that kind of started the tradition of the Chicago Bulls. You know, the Chicago Bulls always have a reputation. The city of Chicago has a reputation as a very blue-collar, very gritty city. Chet Walker, Jerry Sloan, Artis Gilmore, Norm Van Leer, those dudes contribute to that city having that reputation. Those dudes absolutely deserve their recognition. You know, Michael Jordan saved this franchise. Don't get me wrong. I will never disrespect Michael Jordan in any way. If Michael Jordan doesn't come along in 1984, there might not be a Chicago Bulls right now. Those early 80s drug-addicted teams, they might have ran the franchise to another city. If Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't buy that team in 1984 and Michael Jordan doesn't come in to save the day, we might not have a Chicago Bulls to talk about today. So obviously, we are forever grateful for Michael Jordan, but Chet Walker, he deserves his due, man. I saw a lot of people on Twitter, and it's sad. That's kind of how the generation goes these days. It's almost like they try to see how offensive they can be, how derogatory they can be. It's a troll culture out there. But I saw people, you know, commenting on this post that Woj shared about his passing and commenting like, "Who the fuck is this dude? This guy was a plumber." Blah blah blah. Just people who don't acknowledge the history of the game. They don't accept the history of the game. They don't respect the history of the game. And that's always going to drive me nuts. You know, I'm only 34 years old. It's not like I watched Chet Walker, but I love basketball. So I was always, as a kid, and even as an adult, I'll go in and I'll watch throwback games and I'll watch highlight reels of some of the old guys just to show myself that they were not plumbers. They were obviously very skilled athletes for their time, for their generation. And Chet Walker, like I said, one of the biggest buckets of his generation. You know, it's a sad day in Bulls Nation that he's passed. The Chicago Bulls, I don't believe they have his number retired right now. They should seriously look into it. At the very least, give him a Ring of Honor ceremony, you know, not a full team ceremony. He deserves like his own individual night. They brought that 1996 team out last year for that Ring of Honor ceremony. Chet Walker deserves his own night, a Chet Walker night. The Bulls should do right by him. They should honor him. He was an absolute legend. He carried this franchise in dark times. And if you're a under 40 Bulls fan out there, so I'm probably talking to like 90% of you guys because you're watching me on TikTok or YouTube. If you're under 40 years old and you're a Chicago Bulls fan, do yourself a favor, man. Do some research on Chet Walker, Jerry Sloan, Norm Van Leer, Artis Gilmore. Learn the history of the game, learn the history of this franchise, and just grow to appreciate it, man. So you guys let me know if you got any favorite Chet Walker, you know, memories in the comments here. All my old heads out there who can remember watching the dude hoop, let me know what some of the highs of his career are, but he absolutely deserves our respect. Rest in peace, Chet Walker.